just because. So the National Wake Up Call this week was really good. If you didn't listen to it, make sure that you tune in to, you can, if you listen to the recording, you have to listen to all the announcements. So it's about, it's a long one this time, so it's like 15 minutes in. So if you want to listen in, you just call in 15 minutes before you actually want to listen, you can do that. Or if you go to the recordings in the online office and you play them, you can fast forward them. You know, you can pick like to go. So if you start around 15 minutes, you'll get into it. But it was Christina Delgado, and she gave some really good tips for hitting Success Club. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I definitely think one of the things she said that really applies to us is numbers. It's a numbers game. So just to give you guys a little tip on that, if you're not hitting, if you don't hit Success Club, the only answer to it is to invite more people, more following up, adding more people to your, your network and bringing in more and more people. So to give you an idea, like I invite about 50 people a month, and that usually makes me hit. A lot of times, if it's a good month, I hit around, 30. But on a bad month, I have to go more than 50. So how do I talk to 50 people in a month? I put them all in my free group the first week and form with them and talk to them and coach them and message them every day. And at the end, directly invite every single one of them to do my next month challenge. So like this month, my invite will be, your journey doesn't have to end here. I'd love for you to join in. I have a Shakeology group starting such and such date, and my June Get Fit challenge is starting prep the last week of this month. Would you like more info on either one of those or both? So right there in one day, I invite 50 people. And, sometimes I don't always hit, but so it's actually a good thing to not be discouraged too. Like if you're inviting 10 people and you're not hitting Success Club, I wouldn't hit it either if I invited 10 people, your number is usually like, on average, it's 1 out of 10. When you get really good, it's like 7 to 8 out of 10. But where you are right now, it might be 1 out of 15. So just know that, so listen to the wake up call. It was really good, and it's good things that you can actually do. She gives you like a whole outline of like what you can actually do to hit it. So, all right. The other thing is update your Success Club points if you haven't yet for the last month with Matt. I'm going to put up the May calendar tonight, and I think that was it. Oh yeah, challenge packs that are on sale this month are Size and Max 30. They're both $140. I mean, that's a really good price, especially for Max 30. That's a 8-week program, and it's awesome. So, okay, so I asked Rob. Rob and I were talking. He scheduled the 15-minute calls with me a while back, and we were talking last week. And I don't remember what he was saying, but I had like this little aha moment, and I was like, I just totally interrupted him, and I was like, would you do the call on personal development? And right away he was just like, yeah, all right. Like he didn't even know what I want, what I was thinking but the thing about Rob is that I actually didn't know this part about him. All I've known about Rob since, he joined the team is that he's got something. He's got something about him. He's got some kind of energy. And it radiates, and he'll have a bad day, he'll have bad weeks, whatever, but he's got some kind of force in him, and it just keeps him grooving. And when it comes through in his posts, it comes through when you talk to him. And when we were talking, I said, you do personal development every day, don't you? And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And he started listing. And what I found out is that he's actually done personal development before Beachbody. This is something that's been part of his life, even before this. So as a team, I think that we struggle with personal development. I think that a lot of people don't even do it at all. And yeah, you know what? It's not just great for your business. It's really the number one vital behavior. It's absolutely, you cannot grow your business. You cannot grow your business remaining the same person that you are today. You can't triple your income with the mindset that you have right now. You have to grow with your dreams. You have to become the person that has a huge team and all of these things. So, but on top of that, whether it's for this business or not, it's really something that all of us should do in general to achieve anything in our life, to just have that overall contentment and happiness and positive mindset. So without further ado, I really appreciate Rob putting this together for us. I know he's got a great call. So I'm gonna mute myself and you can take it away.
Thanks, Chrissy. I'm actually really, really excited to be able to talk to you guys. I feel like since I've become a Beachbody coach in October, I've just been fortunate to be a part of such an awesome team. And I think having Chrissy, she's just such an awesome leader. And I remember the first time being able to meet most of you guys at Super Saturday, like that was a huge, I want to say, personal development moment in my life. Like that's a chance to have huge personal growth. And that's what it's all about. So, for everybody that can get on these team calls, and for the ones that miss any of these team calls but go back and listen to them on YouTube, I mean, that's a huge part of the personal development. It's not just about the books that we have to read. It's not just about the national wake-up calls, and those things are fantastic, but it's about finding what's going to help you on your journey, and there's so much out there. So the way that I really got started, and I didn't even know it was personal development, was really through, I want to say, documentaries. Michelle and I, about 5 years ago, decided to go on a gluten-free diet, mostly because we started having all of these stomach issues, didn't know what they were. And so it kind of led me to go and start doing research to figure out what was going on with us. So we started watching all of these food documentaries. Forks Over Knives, which is an awesome one. Food Matters is another really good one. And then the other one that really stuck with me was Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And what I related to the most was the journey that these people had to go through. And I can appreciate it now so much more than I did at the time because of the journey that we go through as Beachbody coaches. And we're constantly trying to improve on the weaknesses that we have just so that we can get through life and get over those things that we're afraid of and kind of sharpen those tools we have to kind of better the other people that end up becoming our challengers in our groups and also help our business. So in the last 6 months, when Beachbody and as coaches, we learned about personal development, for me, it's been a crazy journey because at the beginning, it can be really overwhelming. And I think when you know that there's so many books out there you can read and you try to pay attention to all the calls and everything, I think the best way to start is to write down what it is that you want to strengthen within yourself at that moment in your life, because it's going to be different for everybody. And the one thing I've learned is there might be a book that I absolutely love and I could talk to somebody about it and they can say, I read the first 2 chapters, it wasn't for me, and I passed it along. Then the other thing I've learned about reading these books is that you should go back and reread them. Or if you do it through audio, which is awesome, go and listen to them. I think I've listened to GoPro probably about 4 times in the last 2 months. And it took me a while to get into it, but I decided to do it as an audiobook. I just put it on my iPod, I listen to it in the car, and I pick up something different every single time. And I notice it also works at what part I am with my business and what I'm focusing on in that month. I end up picking up something new. I write down what it is that I got out of it for the day, and I focus on it. And that's another big part. I think everybody should have a notebook or a journal And when you have the time to sit down, at least try to schedule in at least 20 minutes a day. And as you're doing your personal development, write down what it is that you got out of it. And then you can always go back to your notes a couple days later, and you're actually going to be surprised at what might inspire you just from what you wrote down in your journal. So when I started posting stuff, I actually used Pinterest a lot. I just needed quotes. That was my whole thing. Is when I was younger, I actually got into a lot of poetry in high school, college. Going on to Pinterest and finding these quotes that were probably only like a sentence long was enough for me to just kind of wake up with. So I created my own board, and it was a way for me to get personal development in the morning. I would read like a couple of quotes, and I'm sure that you've seen some of the ones that I've posted. And I just feel like those are ones that I relate to the most, and I share them out there because you never know who that might help out in their journey. So I always try to figure out what I can relate to, and I throw it out there and try to relate to other people. And then the other thing I really got into was podcasts. I don't know if you guys have listened to any TED Talks or watched any of those, but one of the podcasts I got into in the last couple of years was the TED Radio Hour. And it gives you an opportunity to listen to somebody else that's in a completely different field talk about their passion and what they've done in their lives to kind of make it to the top in their field, or what they've done to help out like a group of, say, children for a new school in like the third world country or things like that, or what advances they've made in the medical fields. And you just get like a lot of inspiration hearing other people talk about just their journey in life. And sometimes you relate to their story, and sometimes you just can kind of just get excited about it. And you kind of like, yeah, I want to reach for that greatness. I want to be like that one day. And it just kind of gives you an extra boost. And then another one that I do is Chrissy was talking about the national wake-up calls. I rarely get to listen to any of those live, but I usually by Tuesday and Wednesday, the latest, go back and I listen to them. And if you haven't listened to Mondays, like she said, it is actually amazing, because I started going in and looking at the leadership ladder, and I was like, wow, this is a whole nother approach to this business that I never thought of. And so that's something that I'm actually working on right now with my personal development, is being an Emerald coach. Like, what can I do now to kind of bring my business from Emerald to Diamond? And this was something that I needed actually at this point, and it just happened to come along. And so now I'll go through again tomorrow, start jotting down notes, and I'll start going over it whenever I start wanting to develop certain strengths and stuff. But the biggest one of all that I use is YouTube. And because sometimes you just need 4 to 5 minutes of motivation. You don't need to sit, if you don't have time to sit down and read a book, or say even watch a movie or listen to the national wake-up call, and you just want something that you're going to be able to focus on that's going to give you that motivation or inspiration to get through your workout, YouTube is phenomenal. And I've been able to find anybody that, anytime I had questions from Beachbody, I've actually gone on there and I searched stuff. When I was a brand new coach and I didn't know a lot of the big coaches, I would just type in things and just learn a little bit more about the business. But now, we have all these coaches in our group, they could recommend anybody. And I suggest that when anybody throws you a recommendation, no matter what it is, I always write it down. And if I'm not ready to get to it, say today, it's something that I'll go back and reference. If I ever feel stuck or I don't know where to turn to next, I'll just say, hey, you know what? Somebody talked about this in a team call, or somebody mentioned this on the team page. I'll go back to it and check it out. And with YouTube, the best thing is you can actually create your own playlists. So if you want to listen to personal development while you're working out or while you're driving in your car, you can actually go on and pick like whatever videos you feel that you want to focus on, go in and just create a playlist, and they'll play one after the other. And I can actually share my screen and I can show you guys a little bit of what mine looks like. This way you have a better idea instead of me just explaining it to you. So you guys can see that, right? All right, so right here, this is my homepage. And one of the best things about once you start looking up videos is your homepage is just going to be filled with other videos that they recommend. And if you don't like something, you can actually go through I don't, and see over here, like this is not interested. So like Scotty Hobbs is somebody recently I just started getting into because Chrissy recommended him to me. But if I say it was something I wasn't, I can just X that out and it won't show up on my homepage anymore. But say I found a video over here. When you first sign on your homepage, you'll actually see your library. So this is pretty much all I have right now. And motivation, you'll notice I don't have a ton of videos saved. And it's because I listen to these videos so much. I'll go back over and over again. And some of these people you'll probably know, like Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, he's huge right now. Jim Rohn, he's amazing. This talk right here, this guy Simon Sinek. If you get to, it's this talk right here. How great leaders inspire action. He has a theory called the golden circle. It's unbelievable. He kind of talks to you about how through biology, our bodies, how you can communicate to other people so that when somebody says, I'm not sure if I'm interested, or I don't know if I like, my gut tells me no. He actually has this whole talk on how you should kind of change how you speak to people. And then this way, when you're leading with intuition or your gut, you can actually relate to certain things more. But if you have the time, I think that's like 18 minutes. So I might sit down and listen to like the first 5, and then I'll just like go back to it, write down like where I left off, and then go back to it another time. Like people like Tony Robbins is amazing, Les Brown, and then Eric Thomas. If you haven't listened to any of his talks, which I know a few of you have, I'll listen to this one probably at least once a day. It gets me so fired up before workouts or just before I start my power hour and start getting to my daily disciplines. He just has one of those powerful voices, and it might not be for everyone, but it's something that really, really gets me every time. And so I put that on, and if I'm in a bad mood or if I just am not feeling it today and I know I still have to get my daily disciplines done, I'll put that on and instantly my attitude changes. And the other great thing too about being able to be on YouTube, a lot of podcasts, if you like to watch them, are also on YouTube as well. So let me just show you something. I'm going to click on a video and I'm going to pause it, but I'll show you how to save it. All right. So right here, I pause this one. Now say this is something that you wanted to save for later. All you have to do is go to the add to, click on that. And if you don't have any playlists yet, you can literally just click create playlist, type in whatever name you want, and then you can select whether or not you want to have it public, unlisted, or private. I don't know if there's a difference between unlisted and private, but usually with like certain Beachbody things, or it's already clicked on private, and favorites too. That's just something for me, but it's super easy, and I recommend you, if this is something you think you could use, a tool you could use, I would definitely go on and do it. And then at any time, if you don't, say you wanted to get rid of this video, you can just come over here and click the X, get rid of it. But if I was to click on this top video, it'll just play one by one. So if you're working out or you're driving in your car or if you're at work or whenever you have a chance to listen to these, you don't even have to watch them. Just keep it open on your home screen on your phone, and it'll just play one after the other. So that's probably one of the best tools I recommend. And then I'm sure that most people know about Pinterest and stuff, and that's another place where you can organize, make boards, and kind of share a lot of quotes and things like that. Now, for a lot of, I don't know how many people on here are a new coach, but the first book that I ever read was The Slight Edge. And, that to me was just a book that I decided to start on because I heard, I think it was Brian Bachman who was talking about it in our Fit GC group. And I was like, hey, you know what? I need to start somewhere. I'll go there. And as a new coach, that was actually a book that I related to a lot because it put the idea and the perspective of us doing our daily disciplines and how important they are and doing the vital behaviors. And you could literally let it go for a week, and then all of a sudden you'll realize, oh, why am I so behind? And it was just those slight differences that you didn't do that now the slight edge is working against you. And if you've read that book, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're looking for a book, I recommend that. The other one is You Are a Badass. Now, that's something that I just saw somebody reading, and I kind of just wrote it off. I was like, I'll check that out later. That's actually the third or fourth book I've gotten to, but I would recommend that to be one of your first or second, only because in this business, you need to have belief, and you really, really need to believe in yourself, and you need to believe in your goals and your journey that you have in life. Whether you're a Beachbody coach or not, you're on this journey. And to me, like I said, it might not relate to everybody, but to me, that was just a great all-around book that gave me the possibility to think like, oh, what things am I passionate about? What things am I focusing on to strengthen in my life? Like, who am I as a person, and do I really care what people think about that? Now, you guys have seen some of the videos that I posted that I made with workouts and things like that. And, I don't really care too much about what people think in a big setting like with Facebook. Like, anybody can make any kind of comment they want. Anybody can say whatever they think about my videos. It's fine. I have fun with them. It's something I love to do. But when I'm messaging somebody one-on-one, it's not easy to, when you're typing up your first message, your second, or even your 30th or 40th message, hey, you guys want to do this group? In the back of your mind, there could still be a party that they're going to be like, no, this is stupid. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And that has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with yourself. And that's something that I had trouble getting over at the beginning, was the personal messaging with people. Not talking to people or posting things on Facebook, but just being one-on-one with my warm market, because these are either friends I haven't talked to in a while or people that are in my family, friends like that. And just getting, you get a little worried on what they're going to say. But I think You Are a Badass has given me the most confidence, I want to say, in the last month, that now when I'm inviting people, I invite them and just look at it as part of my daily discipline. And if they're going to say no, that's fine, because I'm looking at, hey, I'm inviting X amount of people today. And whoever says yes, those are the people I'll focus on. And the people that say no, I'm not going to completely forget about them, but I just might wait and ask them in another month or so. And then GoPro, for anybody that hasn't listened to that yet, I would recommend listening. And I would recommend having that on your iPhone or someplace that you can just listen to in your car on a regular basis, because that, to me, is something that I'll always go back to. And it does talk a lot about network marketing. And to me, some things I can relate to and I'll put in with this business, and some things, I just haven't gotten there yet. But I think it's a great book to always go back to and listen to. So if you're a new coach, those are the top 3 that I really recommend that you check out. And then, like I said, I'll actually create a list, and I'll post the list on the team page, because the other thing I wanted to bring up about listening is podcasts. And I don't know if you know Lewis Howes. I think that's how you say his last name. The School of Greatness. He has a book, which I haven't read, but the people that he has on his podcast are phenomenal. He's actually had Gary Vaynerchuk. He's had Tony Robbins. He's had Eric Thomas. He's had Mark Sisson. He's had a lot of these people that are professionals in their field that I've already kind of looked into for personal development, and found out he has our interviews with them, and they're the most down-to-earth one-on-one interviews. So if you just want to get that perspective of the people that are, way up high in their field, people that you look up to or people that you admire, I'd go through there, because there's somebody on his podcast for anything. So between the TED Radio Hour and that podcast, those are the 2 that I go back to and listen to. And pretty much on a daily basis, I wake up, the first thing I try to do is wake up with a positive mindset. So if I'm not going on Pinterest and I'm not looking at one of my quotes, I'm probably going to be going through and going on YouTube. That's another way I do. And then when I'm focusing, sitting down to do work, when I'm just on Facebook clicking or liking certain things, that's when I'll listen to one of the national wake-up calls. And I usually listen to things first before I take notes. because it takes me a little while for things to sink in. And it also gives you a chance to ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this going to help me grow right now? And if it is, you can always go back to it and write down the notes and write down the things that you want to relate to. And the other important thing is I've pretty much cut out everything in my life that doesn't add value to my life in some way. I say that if it doesn't add value in a positive way, then there's really no reason to have it. And we all have the junk food TV, and I'm not saying like get rid of it. But if every day at a certain hour you're finding yourself sitting down and you're just zoning out on TV, that might give you the great opportunity to say, hey, you know, I could spend 20 minutes, I could spend a half an hour right now doing my personal development. You know, I mean, there is time in your day. Right now it might seem like there's not, but I would actually just try to keep note of it. You might find yourself like, oh, here's like 10, 15 minutes where I'm actually not doing anything. I could just be listening to something. Or I'll listen to stuff. I'll put my headphones on while I'm doing the dishes, or I'm going down to do the laundry, or I'm, you know, folding clothes, or I'm going out for a walk or whatever, or working out. You know, there's always ways to put the personal development in. And if you don't know where to start, just start somewhere. And once the ball gets rolling, it really will just take off. And you'll find more and more and more that's going to help you out. And, you know, if you're really stuck, write down things that you're interested in. You know, it could be like one of the things I was really interested in was actually the Hard Knocks TV show, you know, about the football players on HBO, because I was a football player in high school. I wasn't the best, but that was the last time I ever did like a high intensity workout. And seeing somebody like J.J. Watt from the Texans being able to flip a 1,000-pound tire, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to work out hard today, and maybe one day that might be one of the goals I have in life. You know, and so I always look for things that are going to make me try to be the best and the greatest that I can be on any given day. And whenever I come across like a problem or anything, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm trying to strengthen myself so I can always look for the positive. You know, it might be a crappy day. We all have different things that are going to pop up. Every day we're going to have a challenge we're going to have to face. It's never going to go away. But if we develop these tools a little bit at a time, then it's just going to make it that much easier to go through them and overcome like any of the obstacles that come in our way. So that's pretty much majority of what I do and what I recommend for personal development. So if you guys have any questions or anything, I mean, please open it up, because there's so much I could talk about. But if you guys have anything you want to talk about, I mean, feel free. I mean, it doesn't have to be any recommendations. I mean, is there any personal development that you guys are like, yeah, you know what, I love this? Because that's something really good to share.
You know, I have something to say.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate it.
Rob, seriously. I don't know. Did you guys, can you feel it? Like, I him, and this is what I'm talking about with that you do the personal development. It's just, you know, I feel it. It's emotional. I can feel your emotion, and I can feel your mindset, and, you know, it's just, it's awesome. So, all right. One question I have, that Lewis Howes guy, he's a podcast.
Yes, he has. He's on YouTube, and he has his own podcast. He actually records all of his podcasts, and it's called The School of Greatness. And that's also the name of his book. And he has an awesome story. So if anybody has a chance to just look him up, he has a pretty extraordinary journey too. But I want to read his book next, but I have like a 10-page list, I feel like, of books to get to.
This is funny. This is actually, I was just going to ask you this so that anyone listening on here or that watches the recording can hear it, because I think I know your answer by what you just said, but, you know, I did not do personal development for like the first 6 months. And it affected me. And I went on a call with this guy named Brad Bizjak. He's like a really great he's a coach and he's a really good speaker. And he just talked and talked, and like, it was, everyone was so fired up. And at the end, people started asking him all these things they're struggling with. And his answer for every single one after the other was, you need to do more personal development. Every question they had, I'm not hitting Success Club. I don't know what to say to people. I'm feeling down on myself. I plateaued with my weight. Every single question that they had for him, he was like starting to get, he was like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, it's personal development. That's all. It's the core of everything in your business, in your life. If you're not working on you, if you're not growing, nothing else is going to grow. If you're not, reaching your own goals. So my question to you is, do you find by doing this, like, then you get like, so when I started it, you get more and more hungry for it. And your list of, so like getting started is the hard part. Where do I want to go? Who inspires me? But when you find someone, and if it's like on YouTube starts popping up people that maybe you'd like, like they start showing when you first come on, and one person leads to another, to another, to another. You find that you're almost like you're hungry for it. You're listening. I listen during my workout if I can. I listen if I, every time I'm driving. I listen when I get ready. Like as much as I can now, because like I'm saying, like, do you find that with one thing leads to another, to another?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you said that, because it's like, if anybody has Spotify or Pandora, when you're listening to a song and it recommends like this next song for you, and then after that, based on what you like, it goes to the next song. And you're going to find that that's what's going to happen. If you even have read You Are a Badass or The Slight Edge or any of these personal development books, you're probably going to get 4 or 5 recommendations from that one author. And I recommend you writing those books down. And also, just by me going on YouTube, I don't know, I have not yet read John C. Maxwell, but I could not tell you how many successful Beachbody coaches have talked about that. And we're talking about Scotty Hobbs, Melanie Mitro. I'm trying to think who else I heard the other day who was talking about John C. Maxwell. And I was like, wow, so this apparently is somebody that they're recommending. So I wrote that down. Sorry, I just elbowed my wife. I was getting so into it. And then the same thing with YouTube. Like, you'll get the recommendations and podcasts by watching the Lewis Howes podcast. Now, whoever he's talking to is somebody now I want to go and look into. And I'll tell you the 2 things I've learned from anybody that is a successful entrepreneur is, first, they have a library of probably 700 to like 900 books. Usually you'll hear one, like Tony Robbins, I think he had talked about reading like, I think it was like 700 books in like one of his most successful years. He just kept going through and reading all these books. Now, I don't know if he finished them all, but he just kept going. And there's another guy that you're probably going to see pop up on YouTube. His name is Tai Lopez. He's another guy. He actually has one of his kind of like commercials is him in his garage, and that's where he keeps his library. And he has like these amazing cars, and you look on the wall, he has like probably 4 or 5 stacked shelves of books. And I watched one of his TED Talks, and he talks about how the 2 greatest things that he ever did was, 1, read as many books as he could, and 2, find somebody that he really looks up to and study under them and see what their process was and try to learn from them as much as possible. And those are probably going to be the 2 most successful things. And that's kind of what I'm working on now. And you will find other people that you want to follow and relate to, and just go for it. And you'll start finding like the 1 or 2 at this moment that you're really just going to go for it, and just try to get as much personal development from that person as possible and start learning from them. And that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
I got something to add to that. You actually mentioned it, and Mike mentioned it on the call last week when he was talking about personal development. And it was, you're not going to fall in love with everything that you read. So, I mean, if you're reading something and you're not connecting with it, you need to put the book down and pick up a different book. Like,
right.
Tony Robbins reads 700 books. He probably put down 50, 60 of those books because, it just wasn't doing it for him.
Right. And I'll say, it's funny because we kind of talked about that one day, Matt, about the slight edge, how you start getting to a certain point in the book and he kind of retells the same thing over and over again. And that's a book that you could probably go through with reading like half of that book and you've learned enough and you can put that down and move on. And, I find that with some other books, and you're going to find some 150-page books that are easy reads and you could read in a couple hours and just breeze through. Yeah. But if it's not helping you, and you're not getting anything out of it, then don't waste your time, because you wasting your time on that could be time well spent on something else that is going to better you. And so you got to kind of focus on that skill as well. If it's not helping you and it's hurting you, just get rid of it. It's a waste.
Yeah, and likewise, how you were saying that you have certain things that you have listened to over and over and over, because every single time it's, stirring up that belief, that positivity. So, there's really no rules with this. The rule is, I guess, if there is one, is if it works, that's your person or your book or your podcast or whatever, your method happens to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is like, just go for it. A lot of times we'll overthink things, but the best thing you could do is when you're stuck, just go for it, because your actions are going to help you get you through those obstacles, and you're going to end up finding something that you relate to, and it'll help you out in the long run. And really, like, another thing, I love music. I grew up playing music. I still play guitar now, but sometimes I need to wake up, and one of the best things is I might have a song or two that I know is going to get me out of a funky mood, or a song, I might want to sing to. Just pop it on, listen to it. That's personal development right there too. It could be like a Justin Bieber song. Everybody's talking about him. So if that makes you happy, blast it, sing to it. Don't be afraid of it, especially if you're by yourself. Who cares? Nobody cares what your voice sounds like. Just go for it, especially in the car.
I put that on today before my workout. While I wasted 2 hours making myself work out. Should have just put that on. I would have just been like, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it is. So here's a crazy thing. I hated country. Like, I used to be in a punk rock band, and I was like, country, that's stupid. I like Johnny Cash, things like that. I'll tell you what, in the last year, I started listening to country. I have a friend that came up from South Carolina. He actually moved back down to Alabama, and he got me into some people. But that song, Zach Brown, he has that song Toes, and it's like, it's talking about being in paradise. Now, I used to think, oh, that's so stupid, like blah, blah, blah. But to be honest with you, on like a rainy day like today, I'll pop that song on and I just picture myself some beach just hanging out with a drink in my hand, and it'll make you feel better for like those few minutes. And just if it puts a smile on your face, like, go for it, because it'll change your whole day. So, don't be afraid to blast your favorite song in your car or put the headphones on and, be you. That's what it's all about.
So I had one more thing.
Okay.
When you talked about belief, I think you probably connected to every single person here. And we're probably at all at different points with that, but no matter what, we all started the same with, that limited belief in ourselves. And the belief, so doing the personal development, kind of gives you that mindset to do those things that scare you. The belief in yourself only comes from doing something that scares you. You don't get it from doing the things you're already good at. You know what you're good at, and you do those things and you're like, yeah, I'm good at that. But when you do something that you are so afraid that you're going to be rejected or laughed at, or nobody's going to join, or, whatever it is, the fear is, and even if it's something like, whatever, flying in an airplane, when you do something that scares the crap out of you and you do it, and, number one, if you survive, which you will, and number two, even better, if it's awesome or even good, that's what gives you that belief in yourself that you did something that scared the heck out of you. You achieved it and you did it. So, the personal development, when you said that, I just was like, yes, I know that you connected with everyone here, because every single person struggles with belief in themselves, but this is something where this business is requiring us to be a leader, and be a leader. We are a coach. Our job is to tell someone, take my hand and I'm going to help you. I'm going to coach you. Not, do you want my hand? It's over here if you want it. You know, like our job is to say, here, to reach. And a lot of times the person is not ready to grab our hand and we're left like this. And the belief in yourself is that, you know, the more you do it, the more people that start grabbing your hand, and every time they do, that belief grows. So I love that you talked about that, because that's what this is all about. That's why you have to do personal development. Personal development gives you the tools to rip the Band-Aid off, you know, close your eyes and just hit send and just do it. And keep reaching that hand out until somebody grabs it. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to reach it out 10 more times, you know? So thank you for talking about that, because I know, you know, talking about that and struggling with your messaging your warm market. Everybody, I still do. On my daily checklist is go out of your comfort zone for that exact reason, because when I come across someone that I think is like, that intimidates me, you know, that's in awesome shape, whatever it might be, and I want to approach them for this, they are the person I don't want to message. They're the person killing it at CrossFit that I don't want to be like, you want to join my free group? You know, because I don't believe in myself to help them. And that's something I have to work on. So we all have that. We all struggle with that. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I know it's, you know, you have to admit to feeling that way, but we all feel that way. So it's really great that you shared that, because I know everyone here definitely related. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. No, I think the only thing I want to add to that is we all started out as that person we're writing to. We all started out as that person on the other side of that message. Hey, would you like to join such and such? And I actually Matt asked me if I was interested in doing workouts. I think it was probably almost a year and a half ago. And I said, no, thanks. I'm going to the gym, you know, and that was it. But in September, I started doing workouts. Joe messaged me, said, hey man, you know, you're interested. And so this team had persistence, and I became a coach, and it's one of the best things I ever did. And when I write to people, if I'm scared or I'm nervous, I just remember, hey, I'm writing to the former me, and I'm going to help out that person no matter what. And I said no over a year ago, but look where I am today. So don't be afraid to hear no. Be excited. Hey, I got a response. That's awesome. You know what? I'm going to write this person's name down, and I'm going to approach them again in a month or two. Or I'm going to approach them like 3 months or whatever. Maybe they're totally not interested, but I'll keep them on my list with a star next to their name, and I'll know, hey, I'm going to go back to them. And it could also be just the way you approached them that day. And you could go back to them and reapproach with another mindset based on something you learned in a book, or just like, you know, another personal development strength that you gained. And it could totally change. And they might say, hey, you know what? Right now is a great time. I'd love to join you in that challenge group or whatever you're doing. So, you know, that's something that I've learned over the last 6 months too, is you got to, you know, do your best to get over those fears. Don't be afraid. You know, you're in an awesome position right now to help people, and that's your goal, and stick to it. Never give up. You know, if you're having a down day, it's okay. Everybody has them. You just keep pushing through. Put on your Eric Thomas and hear Eric Thomas say, you owe you. That's the talk on YouTube. You owe you. It's one of the most motivating 7-minute videos I've ever watched. It just talks about how you're responsible for yourself and nobody else. And it's fantastic. It gets me fired up every time. If I'm not approaching enough people today, it's not their fault. It's my fault. And I just keep working on it and get better at it each day. You know, same thing with getting to your workouts. So just keep doing what you guys are doing. You guys are all awesome. This is my personal development. Being able to talk to my team right now. I was scared. I was like, 5 minutes before the call, I was like, oh, Michelle, like, what if I say the dumbest stuff in the world? And everybody just looks at me and goes, this guy's ridiculous. You know, but that's just, hey, do it. Just do it. And then, you know, once it's over with, you learn from it. So thanks, Chrissy. I really do appreciate this. This is awesome.
Hey, Rob, have you listened to Les Brown has like a 18-part series or 17-part series. It's called Shoot for the Moon.
I don't know. I honestly, no, I haven't heard that one. But
It takes a long time. They're all audio clips. There's no video, but they're all on YouTube, and they're all in one folder. So if you search for it, they're all about a half hour to 40 minutes a piece, but they're awesome. And he says something in one of, I don't remember which one it is, but he has like a topic for each one. And in one of them, he's talking about like being tenacious and having like just tenacity and going after it. And he's saying that most people are so negative that it will take you 7 tries to get a positive response from them. Like most people won't say no, they just won't say yes. So I actually have kind of been imploring that. Like people like kind of see me coming now, because every time I think about somebody that says no, I'm like, I'm gonna ask this guy 7 times, and maybe he'll say yes on the 7th time. So I'm at like 6 with one guy.
I think you posted that video or posted that part. But it was him on the stage, and he talked about how he went to a DJ, a guy that radio DJ, and 7 times, and he ended up getting a job. And then one day, like the guy that was the regular DJ on the radio ended up having, he was too drunk. That's Brown's opportunity to step in, and he got it, and he did it, and that was it. And it was just about being persistent. It's actually, he's awesome.
He actually commandeered the radio show because the producer told him to call somebody else in, and he didn't. Went in the booth and started running the show.
Right, exactly. You don't know when your moment is gonna be that you're gonna just step up and shine. That's why you got to do like your daily disciplines, or just like keep asking people, because say you gave up on somebody, but that 7th time you asked them, they said yes, and that ends up being like one of the best coaches you've ever signed. You never know.
Yeah,
that's what's so awesome about it.
Keep going back and asking those people, no matter how many times they've said, no, not right now, because typically nobody ever comes out and says no straight out. And even if they do say no, it doesn't mean like no forever. It just means no right now.
Right. Like one of the things I always think about is like, how was my day today? Did I have a bad day, or how complicated are things right now? Or how many people have I reached out and it's like, oh, not right now. I got such and such going on. They're always going to have a reason, but they're going to have those moments where they're like, oh, now, now is perfect. It's what I need. And guarantee you just keep after them. It's going to happen. It'll definitely happen. But yeah, I think some people wrote some, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the inspiration in the chat. You guys rock. I'm glad that you guys are finding this inspiring. This is awesome.
Does anybody want to unmute, if you want to unmute yourself and ask anything or comment or share?
Does he do Audible? Did you say that? I didn't hear him.
I have something to share. I've been doing this for a while now too, and like Chrissy, I've not spent a lot of time on personal development, and I feel like my business has suffered from it. So I would say like the past 4 months to 5 months, I've really been diving into personal development too. And I used to think that I would have to sit down with a book and read to get personal development in. So, I bought a bunch of books, and I have a Kindle, and I download all these books, and it just was not working for me. Like I would literally sit on the couch and be like falling asleep with my book. So I was just not getting it in. So I think the past 4 to 5 months, I've been really trying to be more creative with how I get my personal development in. And that's, and I've been staying committed to it. So I've been finding that any kind of podcast, but especially Audible books, I'm loving them right now. Like, I don't know if it's because it's the author that's reading me the book and they're super fired up, but I think I listened to Go for No in like one day. I was like, this book is so good. Like I listened to it so quick. And I'm actually listening to the 10X rule right now. And it's, the author is like firing me up too. And it's a long book, and I think I'm like halfway through it. So if you guys need a personal development book that's on Audible, that's awesome. Listen to any of those 2 books. And I think you'll get some momentum going, and then you can kind of maybe shift to what, your needs are. Jesus, my husband almost just fell on his face. So then you'll go to like kind of what you want to focus on. But I think those are pretty good places to start. Audibles are like my new favorite thing. And apparently you can get them from your library for free, which I need to look into. So
Yeah, that's called Overdrive. So if you guys download the Overdrive app and you guys have a library card, that's a great place to check for audiobooks first. Or if you want to just like check out a book, if you have like a Kindle or an iPad or even on your phones. Yeah, it's called Overdrive. That's a great app to check out to get stuff before you purchase it. And that actually reminds me, that's another thing I was going to say is what I do is I look up stuff because I have iPad. Everything I have is like either on my iPhone or my iPad. But I will go on to the book app, and if there's a book I'm not sure of, I read the sample. You'll get like a 20-page sample. So before you purchase like any of the books that way, I'm not sure how it works with like audiobooks if you get like a sample or anything, but I always try to read a sample before just to see like, oh, is this book going to help me out or not? But what Amanda said, that's actually really important. Depending on the person that's reading the book is also a factor on how you're going to receive that message. So if you find somebody that's reading a book and has a really awesome voice, something that's not too monotone, that's going to keep you interested, Audibles are awesome. But right now, like I don't have the app. I mean, I have it downloaded, but I've just listened to audiobooks on my my books app through the iTunes store. I'll just go back and forth and see whatever one's like cheaper sometimes and purchase it that way. And you know, it's just listening to things, I feel like seeps in a lot more if you don't have the time to really sit down and concentrate. And sometimes people only have the opportunity late at night. So say it's like right before you're going to go to bed. I've fallen asleep listening to audiobooks and have still woken up remembering what I was listening to. But reading sometimes will just knock me out. Sometimes I'll just pick up a book if I'm having trouble falling asleep. But I try to read too. You know, I read, listen, watch. You know, your brain really is a sponge. So soak up as much as you can. It's just going to make you a stronger, better person. So do it. Somebody's Amanda, you said, ask me about more podcasts. Mike Mullally mentioned one last week, and I don't think I have my notes from it. It was like Entrepreneur something.
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, it's Dave Ramsey. Yeah, he's another guy that somebody recommended me to recently to check out.
It's Entre Leadership, ENTRE Leadership. He actually wrote a book called Entre Leadership, so the podcast must be from the book, stemming from the theories of the book.
And I have a feeling that's what the Lewis Howes did too with his School of Greatness. I recommend everybody check that out. You will find somebody that you relate to on that podcast. Just go through and pick one and listen to it. And he asks really interesting questions. And at the end of all his podcasts, he asks every person if they were to die tomorrow, like today was their last day on earth, and their legacy was gone and they only had family members around them, if they were to leave, if he could leave them just one piece of advice, what would it be? And it's just awesome to hear what everybody has to say. So that's the School of Greatness. That's awesome. And then the other podcast, like I said, I listen to is the TED Radio Hour. That's technology, entertainment, and design, but they do have some excellent people on there. So if that's something you're interested in, just go down and look for a topic and click on it. You know, that's just something that you might relate to on a different level. I mean, I feel like if it affects you in a positive way, then that's good personal development. So check that out. And if I find any more, I'll share with you guys on the team page. And I recommend everybody do that too. Like if you have something you really love, share it with everybody. It's the best thing you can do.
Simon Sinek he was at Summit last year. He was the keynote speaker, and he gave that TED talk that you're talking about. And I think that he had given it, that original one, like a year and a half before or 2 years before. And a lot of people left early and missed a ton of stuff because he added about 45 minutes of just content that related to Beachbody coaching. It was pretty amazing. I would suggest that you guys check that out too if you get a chance.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same talk for the first 15 minutes, but then after that he goes into a whole new talk that I've never heard before.
That's actually you can find that on the Beachbody website, his summit talk.
Oh, that reminds me actually so if you guys have an opportunity and you're going to go and listen to the Monday's National Wake Up Call and look into the leadership ladder, look up, I think it was Melanie Mitra that gave the talk on it at Summit. I don't know if it was 2000.
I think it was at yeah, she did one at Summit and at the leadership conference.
But that talk is awesome. It's 20 minutes long, but if you can schedule 20 minutes of your time, like I would seriously go back and focus on that for every coach, beginner to whatever. If you haven't watched, that's a great video. You can find it on YouTube. It's actually under her channel. So that's really cool too.
Anybody else? I wanted to say Shalene. So, not that guys can't relate to Shalene. You probably can especially if you listen to her Build Your Tribe. But the Shalene show is just, like, as a woman, I find it really awesome. And just for everyday stuff, tough relationships, dealing with your own, like, organizing your everything. Like, I will literally go through and find what it is I'm dealing with that day and listen, like, take a shower, put it on, take a shower and listen and it's like 10, 15 minutes. Her longest ones are like 20 minutes. And she's just got really good advice and kind of like very common sense advice, very simple stuff. She takes anything and makes it really simple and something you can apply. So that's my plug for a podcast.
Yeah, if anybody has Twitter, follow her on Twitter because I follow her on Twitter, and she actually, in the 140 characters that you have, she says some pretty awesome, inspiring things. Mm-hmm. So I saw something the other day. I forgot what it was, but I woke up, just checked it, and I was like, wow. I'm like, she actually says she has really great advice. So.
Yeah, she blew my mind too at Summit. Like, that was another person that was awesome.
Yeah, watch her talk.
Because Summit
talk too was awesome.
I'd never heard her speak before, and she gave an awesome talk about, like, relationships and marriage, and it was awesome.
But yeah, I mean, think about all the personal development everybody just got for recommendations. So start with one of those if you don't know where to go, and you're gonna have a different path than the other person. So I definitely recommend just starting with one of these if you feel like you could relate to it, and just go for it.
Yeah. 10 minutes a day. That's it. Just start there. 10 minutes a day, every day, 7 days a week, 10 minutes a day. And then you won't even have to work your way up. You'll want to do more. So does anybody else have anything? Well, thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
I know that it's scary. And you did it, and you did awesome. So I appreciate you doing it for us, and sharing all of these tips. Look at my paper. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I appreciate
so many notes. So it's awesome stuff. So that's that. Thank you, guys. We'll post the recording. Have a good night.
You too.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Yeah.